All right. Got delayed in Baltimore, I think. But we have it. Obviously, my luck with zip strips is terrible. But what I wanted to talk about was the non-such label in the early 90s. If you kind of think of modern music, modern art music, modern classical, contemporary classical, if you kind of think of it as a bifurcation of the traditional thoughts about music, if you think of a symphony as a combination of rhythm and melody, then Stravinsky showed up with his work, The Soldier's Tale, and showed us about 3 minutes in that it can be entirely rhythmic without melody, that you can separate those two things in a very compelling way. And that school kind of, resulted in the Steve Reich, Philip Glass, driving minimalism, percussive minimalism movement. The other branch that was created out of that is perhaps best exemplified by the Third Symphony, Gorecki's Third Symphony, or by Arvo Pärt's later chamber works. And it is almost the separation of melody from rhythm. This particular piece, the first movement is just an achingly slow development. It begins in the bass section with long, languid lines, almost the opposite of rhythmic drive. And the reason that I keep bringing up the label non-such is because they put together such an incredible roster of artists and an incredible roster of music by focusing on the bargain bin. Their mission was to put out 2 classical records for less than one classical record was currently costing. And they did this by licensing lesser known European composers, by lesser known European ensembles. But what they wound up with was an artist roster that was Kronos Quartet. It was Steve Reich. It has an international aspect to it, and it's just fantastic stuff. And they did it by not going to the same old pieces that everybody's heard 9 million times. And I find that fascinating, that by actually swimming against the tide, what they did was bring some of the most interesting new music available in the 90s in the classical music scene. This piece is their biggest seller as far as I'm concerned. This was a phenomenon, written in 1977, and then it hit in America in 2001, 1999, 2002, somewhere in that era, and it just resonated in a way that some pieces do. In pop, we would call it a one-hit wonder. Gorecki's never really lived up to the commercial success of this. I mean, nobody lives up to the commercial success of this. This is a platinum album in classical music from an unknown composer. That's phenomenal stuff. So, just wanted to pull your attention to this. There's a lot of people out there kind of moving on beyond classical music. Classical music seems to exist perpetually in a state of crisis. And I wanted to maybe call your attention to this piece. If you aren't a fan of the rhythmic school, then certainly try this out, or try some of Arvo Pärt's works out. This is going to be a much more relaxing, much more, it's an exploration of tone rather than an exploration of rhythm. Anyways, hope you guys are having a fantastic day. That's my record for the day, and I hope we get something in again tomorrow.